there are some people whose emails we don't have. So therefore this will be useful for to be able to communicate with you. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinnavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Did we finish 16 or are we on 16?
We are on 16.
Yeah. Let's start chanting from 15. Yasman dvijate lokaha.
Together or
Somehow. Yasman dvijate lokaha. Lokano dvijate chayah harshamharshabhayodvegaihi mukto yassa cha me priyah anapekshashuchirdakshaha udasino gatavyatah sarvarambha parityagi yo madbhaktas me priyah. So last time we saw how the person of knowledge is not a drama king or a drama queen. This is what it means. Harsha and amarsha, bhaya and udvega rahitah. Free of a lot of drama in one's life. Usually what happens, morning okay, evening upsetting, and then afternoon all right, and then something doesn't go my way, and if it doesn't go my way, what happens? I get upset. And so this is the general way in which people behave. And so here what is talked about is that the wise person is free of extremes of emotions. There is not any kind of garden variety bipolar, mimicking disorder, high and then low, angry and then happy. So all these things not being there. There is a certain kind of a way in which one can rely on this person to have the same equanimity. Doesn't mean the person is boring or doesn't laugh or smile or, even feel disturbed, but that feeling of disturbance, if something happens, that is in the world that is disturbing, or if somebody tells a difficult story, they are undergoing a difficult thing in their life, the jnani might look disturbed or say, this is too bad that this is happening, but the mind is not engaged in that. The mind is not identified in that. It is called viveka tadatmya. Tadatmya means identification with the mind is filled with discrimination, is based on discrimination rather than, so many other things, including self-recrimination. So the discrimination is there, and that discrimination shows that, okay, I am not any of this, I am expressing empathy, sympathy, whatever it is. So the moods of the jnani are just like what is the rain or the thunderstorm, the typhoon, the tornado to space. Does the rain affects or afflict space? No. Rain does not afflict space. What about the tornado? Tornado also does not afflict space. What about the thunder shower with lot of lightning and everything? Thunderstorm also does not affect space. So any kind of atmospheric disturbance, even though the space contains it and accommodates it, it does not affect the space. And this is how what is expressed in the Panchadashi as well. At the end of the 8th chapter, Swami Vidyaranya says, declares, Maya megho jaganniraha. This Maya is the cloud. The Jagat is the rain. Varshatu yada tada. Let it rain. Let the Jagat rain its rain of terror. You know, Chidakashasya kahanihi ko labha ko nashah iti gatihi. Chidakasha means the space. And which space are we talking about? The chit space in the heart that is free of everything. Like space, the chit is also all pervasive. The chit here, not chittam, sat chit, ananda, all pervasive, ever present, ever free of afflictions. You know, like the eclipse which we say comes on the sun and the moon, but the moon and the sun are free. This is an apparition that we take to be a reality. We say, oh poor sun, it has gone. The eclipse, Rahu has caught it. What Rahu? You know? Sun says, you who? There is no Rahu. What are you saying? This is your perception. So similarly, Maya megho, Jagat niraha. You know, nira means water. And the clouds are the Maya. And what does Maya rain? Maya rains a rain of terror in the form of the Jagat. A rain of horror, a rain of terror. Jagat aka samsara, correct? So Maya can rain only one thing. If Maya is the cloud, the rain can only be samsara, nothing else. You know, first the thunder clouds of Ajnanam strike together and then they produce the water of samsara, correct? Then what does the Jnani say? Varshatu, let it rain. So what if it rains? Let it rain. Yada tada, yada kada tada, yatra kutra, varshatu. Wherever it wants, let it rain. Whenever it wants, let it rain. However it wants, let it rain. Chidakashasya kahanihi ko labhaha iti gatihi iti sthitihi. So the sthiti, the staying in this knowledge, is described as the space which is unafflicted by thunder shower, typhoon, tornado, and any other tsunami, all these horrors that affect the atmosphere, global warming. Does global warming touch space? No. What about the melting of the caps of the ice? That also is not touching space. So that space in me, which is unafflicted by the horrors of the reign of the Jagat, the reign of terror of the called the Jagat, called samsara, that is Satchidananda. And the wise person therefore is free of harsha, marsha, amarsha, bhaya, udvega. They are just like the atmospheric conditions. One day too hot, one day too cold, one day raining, one day sunny, one day, thunder shower, another day snow. But space is not affected by any of these. So too the Hardakasha, the Chidakasha, the space in the heart which is been enlightened to this knowledge of itself, is not afraid of anything, is not afflicted of anything. So too here the Jnani is described as Harsha, Marsha, Bhaya, Udvega Rahitaha, free of the ups and downs of elation and sorrow. That is also Maya's doing in its own way. Elation, no sorrow. In fact, if you manage the elation, the sorrow is automatically managed, really speaking. If you don't hit the ceiling, then you don't have far to fall. That's what it is. Yeah. So if you don't have helium, as soon as something good happens, then you don't, deflate when something not so good according to you happens. And so this is what the verse number 15 described the Jnani as very apt description. And so, yad bhaktah, that kind of bhakta is dear to me, very, very dear to me. And then, what, anapekshaha, next one, shuchihi, dakshaha, udasinah. Up till that time, I think we have seen up till udasinah, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, anapekshaha means the one who is not leaning on anyone else. What do you mean not leaning on anyone else? I thought we have to give sannyasi bhiksha, and we have to give bhiksha to the sannyasi. Bhiksha bhiksha is done mainly for the householders, really speaking. And besides, the bhiksha is not upkeeping the sannyasi. It is upkeeping the body. Yeah. So we are talking of the prop in the form of the leaning, the emotional leaning. Everyone leans. Yeah. Everybody's name should be Eileen. Yeah. Everyone leans. The only thing is nobody leans on Brahman. That's the thing. Everybody leans on something else. Nobody is Brahmalina. That means completely dedicated to Brahman. So the Lina means absorbed in Brahman. So everybody is Jagad Lina, not Brahmalina. And so this is what happens, they look very big. You see this person, he's a big CEO of a company, or he's some kind of a, big specialist of some kind, medical specialist with a multi-specialty hospital, owns everything, and barking orders and telling people to go here and go there and go everywhere and doing all kinds of, things on the face of it. And if you just spend a few minutes with the person is dependent so much on everyone else. That insecurity is so rampant. The person is rife with insecurity. Keeps on talking to people, keeps on barking orders, keeps on showing one's mettle. Show off, I'm just such a big person. And then what, has to see the therapist every day. Therapist linaha, not Brahma linaha. Has to have a lot of people. Some doctors are specially needed to put him to bed, and then other doctors to wake him up. That's what happened to that star. Yeah, that Jackson. That's what happened. He needs a whole medical standby, team to put him to sleep with all kinds of drugs and everything, and then another one to bring him out of that sleep. Otherwise, he was so worried he could not sleep, so anxious. Could not sleep. On the face of it, there is this big stardom, Any of these dumbs it's a very dumb thing to have dumbs, Stardom, kingdom, very bad. Gurudom, yeah, that also is a disease, yeah. All this has to be avoided. And so therefore, we have this beautiful way in which here it's simply said, anapekshaha, no apeksha. Because the person knows the meaning of the word enough. Says enough. No need for anything more. I am okay. This is enough. By myself I am okay. Shuchihi. Shuchihi means clean. Clean outside and clean inside also. Because the inner cleanliness and outer cleanliness go together. The inner cleanliness reflects what is outside, and what is outside is manifested inside, really. So the two are together. And this is to do with eating, drinking, living, everything. Shuchihi. And there is something about this as a value. Shaucha as a value is also going to be discussed in detail in chapter 13. Shaucha means the cleanliness. Because when one has a clean, habits, then both inward and outward. And what is inward cleanliness? Freedom from raga dvesha. Outwardly you can clean with water and soap. But what soap are you going to use to clean ragadveshas? Huh? What water are you going to use? Navarina shuddhyati antaratma. By water is not cleansed the inner instrument, the mind. So what you have to do? Mantra and seva. These are the only two things. Mantra means japa, meditation, antaranga sadhana and seva. And so every opportunity for seva is not missed. And not missed why? Because for the sake of one's own growth. But usually what do we think? We think we are doing the other person a favor. Yeah, by doing some seva. So really speaking, when you look at this word anapeksha, shuchihi, etc., it's a person who is contented with oneself. And the other example I gave, like that corporate head of this company, like this, they rely on each other. Really, each one scratches another back. To look at, they are like tall redwood trees. But if you look at the root of the redwood tree, one would think it is deep. It is not deep. Extremely shallow. How do they become so tall? How do they grow? They hang on to each other. They grow in groves. Yeah. So too the rich person, the person who looks outwardly successful, has all these lobbies, friends in high places, golf clubs and this club and that club, and how to make bonuses and how to deprive the employees. All these things are all because each one has to do it. So there is that, there is that bond, and because of that bond, it looks like these people are very, high-reaching, but really insecure individuals. And there is no shuchi. Shuchi means the inner feeling that everybody should prosper. That is shuchi. My own ragadveshas are suspended. That is shuchi. Dakshaha also we have seen, but just to remind, dakshaha means the one who is adept, one meaning. The one who is totally, udasina means the one who is objective, the one who has total vairagya, dakshaha. It's short for the Dakshinamurti, dakshaha. Kushalaha, adept. Adept in what? In Atmajnanam, self-knowledge. And then Udasinaha, impartial, does not take sides. So when one has very passionate about any situation, whether it is politics or whether it is some, football game or any game, cricket, football, any game, people get very passionate. Wimbledon, people get very passionate. I want this one to win. I want this side to win. And even in the movie, the hero and another person are both after these two fellows are after one heroine. And even 10 minutes into the movie, the person starts to have preferences. I want this guy to get her. I want the other guy to be killed. To be killed off. Why? Do you know this person? No, I don't know this person. I don't like this character. This girl will not be happy with this person. I want this girl to be with that person only. 5 minutes into the movie, the audience has made up its mind. Who should go with who. If there is some kind of a triangle. So this is not udasinaha. Udasinaha means the one who is just there watching the Jagat show. Yeah. The Jagat is an unending show. Sometimes you look through the 3D Google glasses. So, and then what do you see? Yeah. Kya dikhta hai? What do you see? You see a two-headed chicken, two-headed goat, like these, weird things you see. And sometimes you look through it, you are scared. And sometimes you feel like keeping on looking because it's addictive. So like this, there are so many things that you keep seeing in 3D. And, the wearer of those 3D glasses, they know very well they have the 3D glasses on. And they are sitting there in the theatre, And then what happens? Some rock is flung on the screen. and immediately the person jumps, thinking that the rock is coming onto them, spilling their Coca-Cola on themselves. Yeah, because the big jerk happened for no reason. This is the one who is not Udasina, becomes the target of every passing, thing, every passing rock that is flung at someone else, the person jumps. And, the person is in permanent landslide emergency mode, always wondering how to call 911. This is not Udasina. Udasina means the one who just watches. Yeah. Watches without taking sides. And that is not possible unless one has total vairagya. Because who goes with who and who ends up with who and what happens to this political party and that political party, which party wins, is not going to make any difference. Why? Because it is Maya Varsha. It is the rain of Maya again, like I told you earlier. So let Maya rain. It is not affecting me, who is the space. The space doesn't have to be dried off with a nice, hot towel after Maya has rained, correct? Yeah. So likewise, I am not affected. No, but this party, if it comes into power, it is oppressive, it is this thing. Well, go back to the 4th chapter. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Whenever there is neglect of dharma and rise of adharma, Bhagavan will come and take care of it, And when we start seeing the projected world as infallible, as an infallible manifestation of Bhagavan, the need to take sides goes away. Really, it goes away. The need to take sides goes away. Because if it is infallible, then what kind of preferences should I have to try to make it one way or the other? And whenever I say this, I know that there will be a lot of questions afterwards. So I'm going to try to address them now, knowing full well that even after addressing them, there will be still a few more questions about the same thing afterwards. But here goes. You see, the main objection that is raised is, so if there is injustice happening, should I just sit down and watch it, Why shouldn't I do something? We are not talking of things you can't do. That's not what infallibility is all about. When you see the infallible Jagat as an infallible manifestation, your free will and your ability to act and your action is included in that infallibility. Please understand that Jagat is not outside of you. Otherwise it will become, otherwise Brahman will become limited if everything is outside of you. The Jagat includes your body, mind, sense complex. The Jagat means the whole thing, the whole manifestation includes your free will. Oh, so I should just sit and do nothing. Who said that? So if a child is crossing the street and I don't see any adults around, I should just say, oh, Bhagavan is ordaining this child to just be run over today. Om Namah Shivaya. That is not what we are talking about. If you are there, if you are able to run to the middle of the road, that is also given. Free will is given. Your ability to drag the child back is given, or to embrace the child and, prevent it from getting hurt, given. Let's say you tried and somebody else did it instead, given. That the mother wasn't there at this time, given. That you were there, given. All this is given. So your ability to act is also given. We are not talking of your ability or inability to act. In fact, we are talking of the infallibility as when you are not able to act. And despite your best efforts, certain things are the way they are. The only thing to say is sthane. I taught this word in some talks in Atlanta. Sthane means this is how it is appropriate. And the more I say sthane, the more often I say sthane, and the more things to which I say sthane to, then something amazing starts to happen. I start to transform from within. I become udasina. This is what it is. I become udasina. I become not aloof, but impartial. Alukshaha, it says in the Taittiriya Upanishad. And I become an altar for other people to seek advice. Yeah. That is what it is, अथ यदि ते धर्म विचिकित्सा वा वृत्त विचिकित्सा वा स्यात् ते तत्र ब्राह्मणा सम्मर्षिणः युक्ता अयुक्ताः अलोक्षा धर्मकामा स्युः यथा ते तत्र ते वर्तेरन् तथा तत्र वर्तेथाः. If you are having a doubt about what you should do or how you should behave, says the Taittiriya Upanishad, seek those people who are impartial, the elders, who are lovers of dharma and who have nothing to gain. Whether you do something or not do something, they are not passionate about you or your actions. They are just there. They are not in competition with you. They are not coveting what you have, neither do they have a truck with how you should behave. And then approach them and look at them, ask them the question. And how they tell you to behave like that. Or better still, watch how they behave and follow how they behave. You see, you start setting an example. Usually we find that the most passionate people burn themselves out quickly. You see this in history. The more passionate you are, there is no staying power. Like a comet, you blaze through the sky and then you self-destruct, you self-combust. You see this. But the people who are like Gandhiji was very dispassionate. That's why the Muslims would also go to him for advice. The Hindus would also go to him for advice. And the person who is, was the architect of modern Pakistan, Jinnah, he was very respectful of him. That is what it is. And so that is the thing, that dispassion is called udasinaha. And the more dispassionate you are, more gata vyatha. Gata vyatha, gataha vyathaha yasmat, from whom all afflictions have departed. And it is interesting, Bhagavan Krishna uses this particular term, from whom all afflictions are departed. Meaning what? They were there first, because otherwise how can they depart? See this? From whom all afflictions have departed means that they were there at some point, correct? So how did they depart? In the wake of knowledge, they departed. In the wake of knowledge, they departed. And why does it say gatavyathaha? So that the person reading it gains great hope and says, for me also the same thing will happen. That has happened to this wise person. So afflictions have departed. What kind of afflictions? Adi daivikam, adi bhautikam, adhyatmam, all kinds of afflictions, One is not, moved even by the so-called acts of God, because one's life is given over to the elements. So one is not perturbed by things such as earthquakes, tsunamis. One is not afraid, because if the body is supposed to go, it will go. And likewise, one is not disturbed by one's surroundings. We saw that earlier. And one is not disturbed by the source within oneself either, because there is no self-ignorance anymore. Udasino gatavyathaha sarvarambha parityagi. Parityagi, the one who has given up completely. What has the person given up? All kinds of beginnings. Beginning here means the habit of taking initiative in order to be recognized. Yeah, that is beginning. Beginning doesn't mean the person doesn't get up because the day has begun. So sarvarambha parityagi does not get out of bed. No, that's not the beginning talked about here. It's a very specific term. People want to be noticed. And in order to be noticed, they want to do things. So somebody will say, I am starting a big charity. Not for the, sake of the charity. But why? Why they want to start the charity? In order to have some kind of a, few minutes in the sun. The people that, let's say the person is giving a lot of money to some school. The school officials and the trustees will call, have a dinner on behalf of this donor, and then put some garland, put some shawl, and then invite all the people, have them give a speech. All this feels good, And even though the person is saying, oh well, who am I to give? It is God who has given. At least he is saying that, but inside the fellow is feeling very good. At least they are doing some nice, some bhavana, some respect they are giving me. Like this. Correct? So even the person who gives charity is very mindful of how much I have given. Yeah. Very mindful. And not only that, they'll keep bringing it up, They'll keep bringing it up. So, last year I gave so much. You remember, right? And then, and then, you say, yeah, I remember. So, and the year before also I gave this much, you remember, right? Like this. The person who wants to keep bringing that up, they want to get a lot of mileage for that, $10 that they have given, by reminding it 10 times. So that same $10 bill has to go for a long time. They keep billing it. Yeah. They eke a lot of, visibility and fame from that one single act of donation. And, so this is Sarvarambha means any enterprise is enacted, any enterprise is begun because there is the hope of completion, number one. And why this is important? Because I consider this important. I want to do these things. Either I want some time in the sun, or I just feel I'm a restless person and I keep wanting to do this, that or the other. This is what also is there. So maybe the person doesn't want fame. Another reason to do such things is because the person is very restless. Keeps on starting new projects. What are you doing now? No, I just took up a hobby of buying old cars and fixing them and selling them in the market. Why? Because just like that, no reason. So go on buying old cars, The place is like a, mechanic. The house becomes like a mechanic's shop. Full of what karma, really? Maybe we should call it karma. And, you all the time tinkering with, dead pieces of the car. This becomes, all the time. And then somebody says, I want to do this, I want to do that, then I want to do this. There's a huge list. And the person may be 92 years old, then that 92 they make a new list. What is that list called? Bucket list. Bucket list. Why bucket list? Before one kicks the bucket, the list that is made is called bucket list. Madhyama pada lopa samasa means it is a compound with a middle word missing. Yeah. Before one kicks the bucket, the list that is made before one kicks the bucket. Bucket list. And there also they will say, before I die, I want to do this. So this is all called Sarvarambha, all the time being identified as a doer. This is the Sarvarambha. Arambha, beginning. Sarva, each and everything. I keep beginning, I keep making new projects because I cannot sit still with myself. I don't enjoy myself. So I want to keep myself busy doing this, that or the other. So here that person has given up. No longer interested in taking initiative for the sake of fame or for the sake of restlessness. Content with oneself. Whatever one does is out of the spontaneously guided and guided by Bhagavan, which is the truth of oneself. Guided for the sake of the society, they may do a few things. But again, even if they drop it, nothing happens. They are not concerned. Usually they'll start something and give it to somebody else to run. Just to inspire the people, they may do a few things. Like Samaj, Seva, etc., whatever it is, social service. But other than that, they are not, that is what it is. It is not interested in doing all that. And so, Sarvarambha Parityagi Yo Mad Bhaktaha Same Priyaha. We have already seen that. The one who is non-separate from me, that bhakta who is in this form, non-separate from me, is indeed dear to me. Yo na hrishyati na dveshti,
Yo na hrishyati na dveshti,
na shochati na kankshati,
na shochati na kankshati,
shubha shubha parityagi,
shubha shubha parityagi,
bhaktiman yassa me priyah.
bhaktiman yassa me priyah.
This also we have seen. Yo na hrishyati. Hrishyati means does not get, madly happy. Na dveshti is not inimical to anybody. Na shochati does not grieve. Na kankshati does not keep expecting things. Shubha shubha parityagi, the one who has given up papa and punya. Bhaktiman, the one who is filled with devotion. Yaha, that person. Saha, that person who. Me priyaha, is beloved, is dear to me. So let us look in more detail. Yo na hrishyati na dveshti. It is just like the same thing we talked about earlier. Harsha marsha bhaya udvegaihi rahitaha. In verse number 15 we talked about the same thing. Na hrishyati na dveshti. Na hrishyati means does not get overly elated at when things are going very well. Correct? Na dveshti means does not blame other people when things are not going very well. Because you see, the person is completely in the hands of prarabdha. Prarabdha means what? The karma that is continuing to unfold, that started with the beginning of this body and is continuing to unfold. So the karma that started before the moksha was gained in the form of these teachings continues, correct? It has to continue, because without, otherwise already, Vedanta is not very popular. And then moksha means the prarabdha also ends. Kshiyante asya karmani tashmin drishte paravare, Mundaka says. And then, what happens? Tattvamasi, I think I got it. Finished. No, already so few people come. Vedanta means they're scared. And then if you have some situation like this, where as soon as the person sees the truth, the body is gone, resolved, because the reason for existing is no more, finished. Then what would happen? Yeah, anirmoksha prasanga means everybody else will be deterred from. Anirmoksha prasanga means a prasanga, a circumstance or a situation where moksha is not at all a possibility. Why? Because nobody will be wanting to go take this knowledge, correct? Because what happens as soon as you get this knowledge? Ram Nam Satya hai means, all that is Sat is Lord's name, means this is what is chanted when a person goes away. When the funeral procession is going on, everybody who is seeing that chants that in India. Ram Nam Satya hai. The only thing that is truth is Lord Rama alone, because this body is gone. That is what the idea is, that the body has gone. The person within the body who was living in the body has gone and joined Lord Rama. That is the idea. So the truth of the body is affirmed. That this is not the truth. What has departed is the truth. So everybody chants that. So if that is the case, nobody will even bring an Upanishad book home, even out of curiosity. Because it's like giving an invitation card to Lord Yama. Come and get me, Please come at such and such a time and pick me up. You don't want to do that. And in fact, sometimes, people, there is a story that is told. The great grandma was having lots of aches and pains and nothing was working in the body, everywhere, nothing was working, And if she took Ayurvedic medicine to calm down the Vata, Pitta would increase, and if she calmed down the Pitta, Kapha would increase, and everything was just a mess. And then so One day she got very tired, her knees were hurting, everything was hurting, eyes could not see, ears cannot hear. This kind of great grandma called on Lord Yama. She said, Yama, where are you? Are you going to see me suffering like this? Come and get me. And you know, Yama travels a lot, right? Yeah. He's always on tour. And so Yama happened to be right there, you know. And he said, Grandma, I'm right here. You're saving me a trip. Thank you. Come. Come with me now. And she said, you inauspicious idiot. Who asked you to, taint my front door? Don't you see that my great-grandchild is getting married in 6 months? I have to attend that. Okay, attend that, then I'll come. Then he comes. What does she say? I have to see the great-great-grandchild. Don't show your face until she is born or he is born. Because then they do a ceremony, They put all the 4 generations, they keep, and then they bathe you with gold. And she didn't want to miss out on that ceremony. It is called Kanakabhisheka. Yeah, the great-great-grandma and the grand-grandbaby is held, and they pour all kinds of, they give a bath with gold, really. And then she wanted to enjoy that. So she enjoyed that. Baby was born. She held the baby. She got bathed in gold. Then Lord Yama said, time up. Then also she said no. She was running out of excuses. She says, I have a lot of, dosa dough left, made. Let me at least finish that. Otherwise it will get wasted. So like this, even the person who is full of aches and pains doesn't want to go. What to talk of someone, who is just gained self-knowledge, no time to enjoy. Suddenly if you go, nobody will just say. And besides, how are you going to gain self-knowledge? Because that who would have been your guru, already Ram Naam Satya hai, already gone. The would-be guru would have gone. So who is going to bear this knowledge? Who is going to wear this knowledge? Who is going to bear this knowledge? Who is going to teach you the knowledge? So thankfully the arrangement is such that even after knowledge, this what is called prarabdha, which is the shishta karma, the karma that started before, prak arabdham or prakarshena arabdham, both are accepted. So this prak arabdham karma, the prarabdha karma continues, correct? And when the prarabdha karma continues, then then the teaching is possible, and then the person lives an entirely different life, because the prarabdha is of many kinds. One is called, there are 3 kinds. One is called Ichha Prarabdha. Ichha Prarabdha means what? A Prarabdha in which the person has an idea what their purpose is in life, and follows that purpose, and for the sake of following that purpose may put a few things in place. May do a few things. This is, I'm talking of a jnani, not of an everyday person. Ichha prarabdha, they, because of their karma, they like to do a few things. This is called ichha prarabdha. Then there is another kind of prarabdha called parecha prarabdha. Parecha means somebody else's desire. They function because of somebody else's desire. Somebody says, we want more classes. Okay, here are a few more classes. And somebody says, oh, we want something to, what to do after this, shall we, we want to record your classes. Okay, record the classes. So like this allows things to happen, not because they want to do that, but it is because of other people's requests and desires. Usually things like teaching, writing is spurred by somebody else wanting to know something. And then finally there is one more prarabdha called anishta prarabdha. Anishta means the not very desirable things that are unfolding. Correct? Sometimes it could be ishta also. So in all these situations, whether the jnani is motivated by ichha prarabdha or anichha prarabdha, or parecha prarabdha, the person has equanimity, does not go this side, that side, is completely with themselves, it's just some things that are happening to the body, not to the mind, not to me, not to the senses. Even if the mind is afflicted, It doesn't matter. There was a guru in Rishikesh who had dementia. Highly, erudite person. And towards the end of his life could not even recognize his own shishyas, his own students he could not recognize. But that doesn't mean, even though the mind, which is the receptacle of the knowledge, may be, compromised. But what they know is not what the mind, it's not something that is governed by the mind. It is that which governs the mind. So that knowledge doesn't get disturbed. So when they know that, then na hrishyati, na hrishyati, na dveshti. So is not reactive in different situations. Yo na hrishyati, yo na dveshti. And then what? Yo na dveshti, yo na shochati. Na shochati, very important. Does not grieve. Yeah. Grief happens when there is a sense of longing. But the sannyasi has a sense of belonging. So there is no longing for one who has a sense of belonging all the time to everything. So there is nothing to long for, nothing to miss. Yona dveshti does not hate anybody. The reason to hate is usually why? Why does one hate? Because somebody has something more than me. Or I find that somebody is inimical to me. Here, na kankshati, na dveshti go together. Na kankshati does not desire anything from anybody. So therefore there is no dvesha. No dvesha means what? No enmity with anyone. And then Shubha Shubha Parityagi does not go out of the way to just have plans to amass karma, good karma. This is an interesting thing because usually people want good karma, correct? And in fact, as long as one is studying Vedanta, one should want good karma because that good karma, that punya comes and helps one to ward off any obstacles coming in the way of the knowledge. So therefore, one should want that kind of karma. But after the knowledge has been gained, we are talking of the sannyasi here. What good karma, what bad karma? And in fact, each time the person is teaching, for example, they are having so much good karma, but they are not using it. They have no need for it. It's like something you have outgrown, When you used to play with toys and balloons, and now if you are presented with a balloon, you have no need for it. Before you would cry whenever the balloon burst, but now there is no need for it. Oh, but what about if papa karma comes? Let it come. What about punya? No need to go after punya or try to avoid papa because the person is one with dharma. There is no need to avoid papa or accumulate papa. There is nothing. Shubha Shubha Parityagi. The person is incapable of doing papa. Why? Because the person hardly does much other than basic upkeep of the body mind sense complex and teaching and reading and writing. Those are all the activities. Leads a life of dharma. So the roles are very little. So the papa karma is not there. And usually what happens in the process, nobody wants to do papa, but in the process of amassing punya karma, they get entangled and they may make some missteps and papa actions happen. This is what one, frequently happens. One gets entangled in karma. So here that entanglement is not there. Shubha Shubha Parityagi. And then who is this person? Bhaktiman. Just for a change, Bhaktiman Yaha Same Priyaha. Bhaktiman Naraha Yame Same Priyaha. This person who is full of devotion. Why full of devotion? Because they know that Shubha and Ashubha are same. Everything is one and the same. There is nothing more there. And the whole Jagat is seen as a manifestation of Bhagavan, which is the truth of oneself. So one is always, in Brahman, devotional, devoted. That's the idea. Okay? Yeah. And such a devotee is very dear to me, says Bhagavan. Next one. समशत्रौ च मित्रे च
समशत्रौ च मित्रे च
तथा मानापमानयोः
तथा मानापमानयोः
शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु
शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु
समः सङ्गविवर्जितः
समसङ्गविवर्जितः
Samaha, the one who has equanimity with reference to two things, Shatrau, enemies, Cha and Mitre Cha, and friends. Tatha, in the same manner, Mana and Apamana, Samaha, same attitude, an attitude of equanimity with regard to Mana, accolades, Apamana, brickbats. So whether the person is getting criticized or whether the person is being flattered and praised, there is no difference. And likewise one more sama, Shita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukkha. And this is all a common compound. Shitoshna, Sukha, Dukkha. The first time we were introduced to it was in chapter 2, and since then it has made a mainstay in the Bhagavad Gita. Shita, like the extremes, cold and hot, and then happiness and sorrow. These two extremities, they are always put together. So here, this is also the definition of titiksha. So titiksha is there, and then samaha, and then what else? Finally, sangha vivarjitaha. Vivarjitaha, devoid of sangha, is any kind of, attachment. Any kind of involvement. The person is devoid of involvement. So this is a very interesting verse, because it starts with a word after samaha, which means equanimity, with reference to shatru. Shatru means what? Enemy. So why will a jnani have enemies? Why will a jnani have enemies? The person of knowledge is not inimical to anyone, we heard. Why will a jnani has enemies? Well, the jnani will not be inimical to anybody, but there may be other people who hate the ground on which the jnani walks. It could be. All that the jnani does maybe is sit in, at the on top of the mountain or under the tree. But somebody will hate their guts. Why? Because they want to do that, but they feel they cannot. So there is hatred. Hatred here is too strong a word, but there may be jealousy, there may be some kind of inimical thoughts, there may be feelings, that this jnani is bringing people to Vedanta. All the people from my family are going to Vedanta, and it's all this jnani's fault, because he sits and teaches or she sits and teaches, and then people keep getting interested in Vedanta, and then and instead of doing things in the house, whatever it is, to cook, to clean, to upkeep the house, they are studying Vedanta. So maybe somebody is upset, so this way, this is the meaning of shatru here. So with that person also, the jnani is the same as it is with somebody who is praising the person, who is friendly to the person, who is not inimical, who is benign. The same. Why? Because everybody is an extension of oneself alone. So if somebody embodies such strong emotions, the jnani is compassionate and sympathetic. Why? Because they know that this is what it is. There is some background, there is some reason. Yeah, this is what, this is how it is. They may not reason with them, they may not even interact with them. But regardless of whether they interact with them or not, the feeling is one of a benign, feeling, not some kind of a wrong, that they have wronged me. That feeling is not there. The jnani never thinks, I am just sitting here, minding my own business. Why should they hate me? But why do they not like me? Because the jnani doesn't have any desire to be liked. If you like yourself, then you don't mind whether other people like you or not, really. It's all about oneself alone. And then samaha shatrau cha mitre cha tatha, in the same manner, mana and apamana. Mana means here, usually mana also means pride, but in this instance it means accolades. Somebody says, oh, without you the world will stop, you are indispensable, you are the greatest, you are the best, east or west, you are wonderful. The jnani does not lose the footing over all these things. Neither does a jnani become a sycophant, and not become a sycophant, become addicted to people who are sycophants. And sometimes this is what happens, you see this, and the person who keeps a coterie, like sometimes the kings of ancient times used to keep a coterie of ministers who would always praise them, always flatter them. Maharaj, Rajadhiraj, you are the best, your majesty, nobody like you, And Ravana had such a minister, a yes man. Ravana would say, you think Rama can, defeat me? No, your majesty. How can Rama defeat you? Who is he? He is a mere mortal, your majesty. But they say that he is Bhagavan in a human body. Yes, your majesty. He has done short shrift of so many asuras. We better be scared, your majesty. What do you mean? I should be scared? No, your majesty. There is no one like you. So Ravana's mantri was like that. And, he wanted to keep his job, poor fellow, because he was working for a dictator and a tyrant, So this is what it is. A certain kind of a narcissism sets in with certain fame and all these things. And so this mana only one wants. So that narcissists are always the most insecure people. And one may not have the full-blown personality disorder called narcissistic NPD, narcissistic personality disorder one may not have. But there is always a continuum, Yeah. So one wants to be surrounded by these people who are always praising. Because the inside is a puk. Yeah, always like a chicken, panicked and anxious, full of this daily angst. And wants to be kept on, somebody has to keep on stroking them the right way, rubbing them the right way all the time. Cannot stand the slightest disruption. So that need for mana is itself, that's called manitvam. The need to be praised all the time is a disease, says the 13th chapter. Manitvam. And then apamana again. So people cannot stand to be criticized. Why? Because they take it seriously, they take it as a projection, a reflection of themselves. But if the self is not subject to criticism, the self is the only thing that there is. Who will criticize the self? There is no another self. Another self not being available. Who is criticizing the self? No, one body is criticizing another body, one mind is criticizing another body, one mind is criticizing another mind. Let it be so. Again, this is Maya. Let her reign the reign of Jagat, reign of terror called the Jagat. In the form of the in-law, in the form of the outlaw, in the form of in-laws who behave like outlaws, let it reign. I am not going to be affected. This is what the Jnani says. Tatha mana apamana yoho samaha. That samatvam is talked about here, which was talked about as a value way back in chapter 2. Samatvam yoga uchyate. The definition of karma yoga, one of the definition is equanimity with regard to receiving the results of action. And that's exactly that which was described as a value is described as the full-fledged, the person who has become one with that value. The full-fledged culmination of that value as the personality of the person. And what is this person? A person who is not come under the spell of flattery or criticism. One and the same. And likewise, does not complain about the weather all the time. So hot, so cold. Okay, today there is perfect weather, but I have to sit in class. I can't go out and enjoy. So like this, Shita Ushna and Sukha Dukha. Sukha Dukha means situations which give Sukha and Dukha. The person is not affected by. And that kind of a person is very, very dear to me, says Bhagavan. And no, one more thing. He doesn't say that here. He leaves that reference. Sangha Vivarjitaha. And why is the person able to have equanimity? Because the person is asanga. Asanga means without involvement in anything. Uninvolved doesn't make oneself part and parcel of identifying with the body, mind, sense complex or with the ego, the ahankara here. So sangha vivarjitaha. That's why they are able to enjoy the people without expecting things from them. Okay? Yeah, we'll stop here, and the next 2 verses we will see on Saturday, and then the rest of the time we will have about 5 classes of the Bhagavad Gita which we are going to devote to Kaivalya Upanishad. So that is what we will do. So Saturday we will see these the 2 verses and conclude the 12th chapter, and immediately we will be going into Kaivalya Upanishad because we could use a few classes over there. So that is what we are going to do. And then in case you joined us late, if we don't have your email address, please send an email here to arsha@verizon.net because we would like you to, if you have not registered and if you have started to take the classes, you started to take the classes because somebody told you or because you heard about it late, no problem. We are happy that you did that, but we would like to know who you are. So please give your email addresses. Where is that address I just had? Last 2 verses are missing in the PDF. How did that happen? Is that right? Really? I'll look into it. Yeah, I will look into it.
These last 2 meters.
Yeah. So here is again, since that email address went away, please send an email to this address if we do not have your email address, because there are some important announcements coming up and I'd like to be in communication with you. Okay? Yeah. So if we don't have that, please send your email address. With good punya, one will get Shastra Kripa. In fact, Shastra Kripa is because of good punya only. Yeah. So if the verses are missing, please, the Gita you can get from somewhere else. So please just improvise. Okay? Yeah. Wonderful. Any other questions here? Yes? Yes.
It's actually kind of related to this class, the class that was this.
Afternoon class.
Yeah, the afternoon class. I was
Okay.
trying to ask a question because I was online. When you were talking about the difference between Hinduism and Buddhism, in that, I was just wondering if you could sort of clarify it. Just I wasn't sure I heard it correctly.
What did you hear?
Well, that with the Buddhism, they think that
The world is the cause of sorrow.
the world is cause of sorrow, and that they've
Yeah.
got to go out and do something
Yes,
about it.
yeah.
Whereas the Hinduism is that
World is Ananda. Brahman is Ananda. World is non-separate from Brahman. So the world is not a cause of sorrow. World is joy.
Okay, so the question I guess was the part about the idea, because it's that rope snake thing, that whatever's going on can't be resolved because it doesn't even really exist. So I was confused about whether I would be trying to do something about it.
Well, the thing is, the impetus to do, comes from somewhere, correct?
Mm.
So before doing, if one questions the source of the impetus, then the impetus itself sometimes goes away, it's resolved. And if it's not resolved, at least be clear why one is doing it. So the engagement in action, so if you are doing things, that's why we say that karma yoga, doing things that you are supposed to do, keeps one from doing things that one is not supposed to do. So it is safe in a certain way. So you're not sitting and wondering what to do, you see, because you have a lifestyle. And that is one of the reasons I said do puja once a week here, because that will be a thing that is you are looking forward to doing, or whether you are looking forward or not, that becomes part of the doing. So for that time you don't have to worry about what to do. It becomes part of nitya karma, naimittika karma, occasional actions, everyday actions, etc. So that is what it is. Yeah. Yeah. And then here is a question. Yeah, don't give it to me here, please. Please send it to me at that email address I gave, because it is difficult to write it down from here. Okay, Anant? Yeah. So please send it to me at this particular address, arsha@verizon.net. Okay. Another question. When something bad happens to a friend, how to be dispassionate and compassionate at the same time? Nice question. Yeah. Only when you are, the best form of compassion is dispassion. That's what I will say. The best form of compassion is dispassion. The word compassion means to suffer with. But if you are suffering with that person, how are you going to help them? Yeah, you have identified with their suffering. But you should be able to dispassionate, and then you are able to be compassionate because you are not identifying with their suffering. That is dispassion. But then you are compassionate because you can actually be of help. You are not paralyzed just because they are, they've had a paralytic situation. Yeah. So like that. Okay? Yeah. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.